Football, the legendary coach who made Ronaldo unstoppable and dominated world football. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 1. One message after another appeared on Liu Yi's computer screen, and as a 20-year Manchester United fan, he was naturally in a particularly unhappy mood. Just 12 hours earlier, in United's home game against Liverpool, United had conceded 4 goals in the half and another at the start of the second half. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer replaced the Saviour's Pogba, played for a few minutes, exchanged a tackle, exchanged for a red card, and went to rest. The inexplicable smile on his face before the end of the game makes people feel that the locker room of Manchester United is probably completely out of control like before the storm. Looking at the fans of his mortal enemies, and other fans who are not too big to watch, in the Manchester United plate carnival, wantonly mockery and attack, he did not have the slightest idea of fighting back. Those who have lost so badly and point out their faces will not say anything. Close the forum, click on the Football Manager 2021 Super Invincible crack that just online, spent 25 yuan to buy into the real version. Installing a good game, scouting system, modifiers, and even an extended head coach life file is even more awesome than the genuine version. Welcome to the world of football. The voice of the famous commentator Zhang He sounded in Liu Yi's ear. A football ball cracked from the middle, turned into countless fragments, landed on a green field, and became countless players. One by one the players on the screen, surprisingly realistic, for a while let Liu Yi a little trance, as if he was standing on the side of the football field, these players are standing next to him. Screwing himself up fiercely, it seems that he has recently made friends with his right hand too many times, making himself a little unclear-headed, and he must quit. Select a league. Nothing to say, English Premier League. Coaching club, Manchester United. A mess of options to fill out. Liu Yi is an old Football Manager game player, naturally cannot go wrong. Head coach information. Liu Yi thought about it, or filled in his own information, so that he had a better sense of substitution, and what he wanted was authenticity. Longua, Liu Yi, 1990. Very good. After everything is done, Liu Yi tactically drank water, wiped his hands, and the real depression was to be vented fiercely in the game. Choose a personal binding. What a thing, how I didn't look at this thing before, but it doesn't hurt, bind it. With a flick of the mouse, Liu Yi suddenly felt as if he had been slapped with a brick and his mind was dizzy. Then came a wave of nausea, and several consecutive gags were gagged. I quickly ran to the bathroom and squatted with the toilet for 5 minutes, but nothing came out. He took a deep breath and shook his head, as if something was missing. Liu Yi did not care about this. It seems that he must seize the time to exercise, and it is estimated that he will not live more than 50 in this way. After taking a sip of water, I sat back down in front of the computer. Manchester United fired Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and paid a penalty of £9 million. Manchester Evening News. Liu Yi from Manchester United took over this mess, and the Manchester United board welcomed his arrival and hoped that he could lead the team out of the quagmire. The Times. The 31-year-old head coach is said to be a virgin. The Sun. Good fellow, what is this, and what is it, although it is a fact, but can you please not publish it in the newspaper? Sleeper, how does this guy know that I am still a virgin? And the next second Liu Yi sensed that something was wrong. Looking at the news or something, there is also a big difference from playing the game before. High-end goods are worthy of high-end goods, before the online download of pirated copies, after all, is not as good as spending money. That's $5 too much value. Chairman of the board, Joel Glazer, and Chief Executive Ed Woodward, are offering you a £8,000 a week deal with a season-end contract and hopefully you'll be on the coaching bench for the next game against Tottenham. Only £8,000, Liu Yi is a little unhappy, but as we all know, the salary of the head coach in this game is just a series of numbers, so it is not calculated. The next problem arises again. The game is actually synchronized with reality. The start is not the beginning of the season, but the next game. But this is also very interesting. Liu Yi turned over all the inbox information. Just as he was about to start a game and kill Tottenham Hotspur, the phone rang suddenly. There has never been a savior, nor has it depended on the immortal emperor. Seeing that it was my mother calling, I quickly picked up the phone and did not dare to be sloppy. Liu Yi, the blind date that your Aunt Wang introduced to you, why haven't you gone yet? I was angry and forgotten, but naturally, I didn't dare to say this to my mother. On the way there, I cleaned up my image, and I can't give people a good impression. Your aunt has called all the times, and I will go to the blind date corner to send you an advertisement. Mom, don't do it, baby, let's go. Thinking that his information was posted in the blind date corner, Louis was shocked and cold, and he couldn't care about any game, so he directly got up and put on a coat and went out. Episode 2. The distance is not very far. Half an hour later, Louis met the blind date at Starbucks. Good figure, good looks, but the temperament of the body is a little strange. However, such a girl, if she can look at herself, how blind it is. Hello. Hello, I don't like people who are not punctual. The girl looked at her watch coldly and drank a latte with her head down. I'm sorry, I just happened to have something happen and I'm out late. Louis honestly apologized. After all, it was his own fault that he was late. It's okay, it's all adults, let's talk about it. Your external conditions are not bad, tidying up should be a handsome guy. The woman's tone was still flat, a commonplace look. Thank you, you are beautiful too. I haven't finished speaking. If we are together, I hope to get married within a year, and need a house of more than 120 square meters, a car of about 500,000, my parents are not easy to raise me, so the bride price is at least 200,000. Louis was silent, and it was normal for a good-looking girl to have more points, but unfortunately it had nothing to do with him. Now his life is tight, the rent is paid monthly, not to mention buying a house and a car, the numbers are scary to hear. I'm sorry, I'm afraid I'm not the right person for you. It's okay, I hope you can meet the right person. Coffee money, I'm married, goodbye. This beautiful woman acted vigorously, stood up straight and walked outside, not even looking at Louis again. The feeling of running over to be beaten up by someone, and then drink a cup of coffee. After drinking the coffee sullenly, Louis got up weakly and returned to the residence. For a man, there is nothing worse than a beautiful woman's blow. You have to work hard to make good money. Strive. Back in the rented house, Louis was not in the mood to play games. He was busy with the work at hand for a while, and he could not be at peace during the vacation, but what could he do? After just 1 hour of going out, the supervisor called 3 times, completely ignoring his feelings of not resting for a month. If Lao Tzu hadn't had no money, he would have resigned a long time ago and silently complained in his heart. After the afternoon was busy, after watching the game last night, watching the news for a while, and sleeping late, Louis lay on the bed and fell asleep. Bang bang bang. The knock on the door woke Louis from his sleep, and he couldn't help but be a little surprised in his heart. Who came back to bother himself at this point? Landlord? No, I didn't pay the rent. Mom? With a little doubt, Louis rubbed his eyes and pulled open the door. Outside the door are 2 men and 1 woman, 3 foreigners, headed by a man with M hairstyles, and it is Louis who is very familiar with Sandesi, that is, the CEO of Manchester United club, Edward Ward. Lying in the groove, it seems that he has gone mad by playing the game, and dreams of this. Louis snapped the door shut, grunted and lay on the bed, covering himself into the quilt. A few seconds later, there was a knock at the door again. Louis narrowed his eyes and squeezed himself hard, finally determining that this was not a dream. What did Santa Cuco come to find out for herself? Could it be that someone is playing a prank? Pulling the door open again, perhaps fearing being shut out again, Santa Cuco squeezed in first. Mud monkey, is mud the first forest of Liu Yi? The incomparably awkward Chinese emanated from the mouth of Sandesi, and it took Louis half a day to understand his meaning. A few minutes later, Louis knew the intentions of the 3 people in the mouth of the blonde female secretary who had bulged from front to back. You heard it right, Mr. Liu, you will be Manchester United's head coach, standing on the coach's bench from the next game. Elena said as she took out a bunch of documents to prove their identities, of course, a Chinese-English version of the contract. Everything was without problems, dripping, and without any mistakes. What the is going on? Who is joking with himself? Louis is going crazy. In reality, he has not even been a Catholic practitioner, and he has not even played a ball after graduating from college, and now Santa Cuco has personally come to the door and invited himself to become Manchester United manager. The most successful club in the Premier League in 3 decades, one of the most fans and most influential clubs in the world. I'm sorry, maybe I need to think about it. No problem, anyone who gets such an enviable job will be half convinced. Elena responded with a smile and translated 2 more sentences for Cuco. But hopefully you'll give an answer by noon tomorrow. No problem. Watching the 3 people leave, Louis looked at the Kempinski hotel room number in his hand, as well as the mobile phone numbers of Santa Cuco and Elena, in a trance. Sitting in a chair, Louis looked over the contract in his hand, which had an item on it. Weekly salary of £8,000 with a deadline of 6.30 in 2022. A jolt in my head, quickly turned on the computer and ran a cracked version of the Soccer Manager game. Flip to the content about your contract, £8,000, dates, winter transfers of £60 million, etc., all the same thing. The game affects reality now. Episode 3. After browsing everything, Liu Yi had to accept this absurd fact. His operation in the game will be fully presented to reality, which is really unbelievable. If this were not the case, it would be difficult to explain that the deputy head of Manchester United club, the CEO, would have brought people to Dragon City to find such a person as himself, to be the head coach of Manchester United. Looking at the contract in hand, the weekly salary is £8,000, a month is £32,000, according to the current exchange rate of 8.7, then you can earn almost £280,000 a month. There is also a contract, with a penalty of £2 million. Once you sign the contract, if there is any moth on United's side, then you have to compensate yourself for this money. What concept, 1,800 renminbi, can directly make yourself plead for the current embarrassment, before the blind date that beauty, the problem of opening the mouth is easily solved. In case it was possible, Liu Yi searched the internet for messages from Santa Cuco. Sure enough, there was a message that Manchester United CEO had parachuted into Modu, dressed the same as the touch he saw today. He looked up the man next to him, Richard Arnold, Manchester United's chief executive. That's right. So how much does the game affect reality? Liu Yi re-entered the game. Chose Eric Bailey, a centre-back who he doesn't like very much in the Manchester United squad. After a simple process, choose Bailey to submit a transfer application to the club and expose it to the media. Then there's the wait. In the following time, Liu Yi did not contact Sandesi, but vigorously refreshed the news about Manchester United, and did not even eat dinner. A little time passed, and there was no news, so that Liu Yi had to think that it was when he thought too much. Suddenly, a message appeared in his line of sight, from the official news Chinese Manchester United. At 6 p.m. London time, Manchester United player Eric Bailey suddenly and publicly expressed his dissatisfaction with the club and submitted a transfer application. He felt that he had been treated unfairly and deserved more opportunities to play. With a long sigh of relief, Liu Yi collapsed into his chair. This was followed by a spate of news about Bailey, which appeared in the game, and of course there were media reports in reality. However, Liu Yi would no longer care about this, and he slept peacefully until 10 o'clock the next morning. I got up, cleaned up, changed into clean clothes, called Elena, and took a taxi to the Kempinski Hotel. In the hotel, 4 foreigners sat together. In addition to the 3 people Liu Yi had seen yesterday, there was another one he didn't know. I really don't know why, the head of the country will hire the football desert of Dragon Country, a hairy boy as the head coach. Larry, the club belongs to the Glazer family. Santa Cuco frowned, and although he was leaving his post at the end of the year, his loyalty to the Glazer family was beyond doubt. Isn't it too much fun for us to sign coach and you with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and such a yellow-skinned boy on our backs? Santa Cuco did not speak, but in his heart, he secretly made a note of this guy, went back to talk to the head, and directly opened him. Half an hour later, in the hospitality area of the hotel box, Liu Yi wrote his name on the contract under the gaze of 4 foreigners. Happy working together and having a great time in Manchester. Sandesi took the lead in reaching out his hand and shook hands with Liu Yi, and the matter was settled. We want you to be in Manchester in 2 days, and then have a press conference and meet the players, knowing that there is a game against Tottenham on Sunday. No problem. When he left the hotel, Liu Yi not only carried a contract, but also a large number of coaching certificates that he had never examined, all issued by UEFA, from C to A. Even his visa, the other party, has been processed, ready to take off for Manchester. It's the 26th now, the next game is the 31st, and time is running out. On the internet, sports media large and small are publishing various news. Manchester United are reaching out to the famous coach Conte. Turin Sport. Manchester United have preliminary talks with Zidane. The football newspaper. Manchester United want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to continue his efforts and look forward to his bottoming out. The Liverpool Echo. There are people inside Manchester United who have proposed that Cristiano Ronaldo temporarily serve as the team's head coach until the end of the season. Manchester United newspaper. Pogba got a new haircut and danced with his wife. The Sun. Worthy of you, the focus is not the same as others. For such a Sun newspaper, Liu Yi can only give a thumbs up. Going to England, Liu Yi did not have any problems. He also knew a little English, plus there was a translator. With such a powerful cheat in hand, coaching the team is naturally not a problem. But think about it, such a hairy boy, a young man from football, sitting in the coach's seat of Manchester United. The local fans are full of faces. I am afraid that they will directly parade in the streets. The pervasive English tabloids were able to cut out their ancestors for 8 lifetimes. The domestic media will react, mockery or encouragement, but shock will never be less. His own pure and young soul is going to bear these things after all, but looking at the income of 280,000 yuan a month and the termination gold of £2 million, Liu Yi only wants to say one more word. Let the storm come more fiercely. And, of course, his love and support for Manchester United, which is essential. Before succeeding, Liu Yi's first thing to do is to keep a low profile, lest he be beaten to death by angry Manchester United fans as soon as he got off the plane at Manchester Airport. The tragedy of dying before he could succeed in his life must not happen to himself. Episode 4. After making the decision, Liu Yi called his parents and said that he was going to go out to the far door, so that they would not find him in a hurry. I also invited my good friend to have a meal, and if there was something going on at home, I would ask them for help. Finally, I smashed the resignation report on the manager's desk and said the words that I had wanted to say for a long time. Grandpa is gone. As for the changes that have taken place in his body, he has not told anyone, and he will not say anything in the future. If nothing else, it will be a secret forever. Manchester, one of the most important cities in the UK. Of course, in the last 3 decades, the most important reason for its fame in the world is the glory of the Premier League hegemony, Manchester United. Coupled with these years, the Blue Moon Manchester City next door has also sprung up, making Manchester one of the holy places for countless fans. Manchester Airport, there are reporters staying here every day. After all, celebrities, if they can catch a hot spot, it is a lot of light and money. Green is one of them, a football reporter for the Daily Mail who has been in the industry for more than a decade and has a wealth of experience. The recent turmoil at Manchester United, as well as social rumors, made him realize that there might be big news. God, it's been 2 days, give me some ingredients. Green, who squatted at the airport for 2 days and nibbled on Hamburg, silently prayed in his heart. The emperor is worthy of his heart, and perhaps his prayers take effect. Just as he was bored looking at the crowd, suddenly a familiar figure appeared in his eyes. Manchester United's chief executive, Richard Arnold, brings a blonde beauty and a mediocre Asian man. Mr. Arnold, what is he doing here? Who is that young Asian man? Oh, thank God, after all, he let himself be caught, even if there is no news, but with these photos, he can make up a month's worth of news. Traditional means small meaning. Instinct made him feel that he had caught the big news, quickly picked up the camera, and snapped and took several photos in a row. Other reporters were also unequivocal, and a flash of light flashed. Other tourists around, thinking that there were some big stars, looked around but unfortunately found nothing. Until Liu Yi and Arnold got into the car. Many football reporters suddenly scattered and went straight to the company. Even if someone opens the laptop directly at the airport and directly opens it on the spot, what the truth, the facts, it doesn't matter. For these reporters, the important thing is that the fast and the words are not surprising. Liu Yi has not yet arrived at the hotel, and there is already news out. Hashtag and meet mysterious guests from the airport. Hashtag. The Times is more serious. Hashtag, Manchester United will bring in Asian players. Hashtag. Hashtag, the mysterious Asian billionaire will acquire the club from Glazer to buy Manchester United club. Hashtag. Hashtag, the young Asian man brought back by Mr. Arnold was his illegitimate son more than 20 years ago. Hashtag. The following are accompanied by photos of Liu Yi and Arnold at the airport, all angles, but Liu Yi's face cannot be seen clearly. This makes it more mysterious and attracts the attention of a bunch of readers. One is more outrageous than the other, and the domestic self-media means of doing things, compared with the English newspapers, are simply not worth mentioning. When Liu Yi stayed at the Manchester Hilton, he took out his mobile phone and flipped through the news, and suddenly his face was full of black lines. In all the media reports, there was a humble message. Hashtag. Hashtag. Unfortunately, no one will care about this. Break the head cannot think of this. People are in contact with Zidane, Conte, and even if there is Rodgers. Looking at Liu Yi's face full of black lines, Elena couldn't help but laugh out. How's it going, dear Liu? Are you ready to accept all this? Of course. Liu Yi's eyes fell on Elena's chest, and he paused before continuing. But for the honor of the Manchester company, I will not give up. After saying that, I quietly filled in a sentence in my heart, of course, for £8,000 per week. Watching Liu Yi suddenly become confident, Elena suddenly felt that this Oriental man had a completely different charm from the man she usually came into contact with, which was a bit interesting. The news that flooded the internet caused a commotion throughout Manchester. The fans are a little confused. Don't they say that the change of coaches Zidane and Conte is suddenly spreading this mysterious Asian news? Is there really an Asian tycoon ready to buy Manchester United? That's great. In the last decade, the Glazer family has been lying on Manchester United, sucking up hundreds of millions of pounds of blood, and if this money is used to strengthen the squad, where will the team fall into a Premier League title without a Premier League title in 7 or 8 years? As for the Champions League, the last time was in the distant year of 2008, and some young fans have not yet been born. Look at Manchester City next door, after being acquired, that dashing and cheerful. There are also London Blues Chelsea, who have enjoyed the joy of being super rich for more than 10 years. Recently, even Newcastle has been bought by the oil daddy, ready to wave the banknote and make waves in the transfer market. What exactly the answer is, no one knows. In the evening, on the official website of Manchester, a message was sent. After friendly negotiations, the club and Mr. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer terminated the contract, compensated £9 million in liquidated damages, thanked him for his efforts for Manchester United for 3 years, wished him a long way in the future and all the best. The rich who bought the club didn't wait until they got the news about the manager, which of course wasn't bad news for United fans. From last year's Europa League final defeat, to the last 10 rounds of the new season, 5 losses, 1 draw and 4 wins, ranking 7th in the league, completely sorry for the large investment. Most of the fans have put up with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to the extreme, and everyone feels that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not the one who can lead Manchester United to glory. Now that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is out of class, who will be the new manager? Zidane? Courtney? Rodgers? In the survey data on Manchester United's official website, even Ronaldo has 7% of the votes, while Zidane leads the way with a high 51% vote. As for the other options, I don't know which board guy voted for it. Episode 5. After adjusting the jet lag of more than 10 hours, Liu Yi has been sleeping intermittently until noon local time in England, which can be regarded as a mental uplift. At noon, Edward Ward called him and said there would be a press conference in the afternoon to get him ready. This is naturally indispensable to the help of the beautiful translator Elena, otherwise according to the English level of Coach Liu, I am afraid that I can't even understand a sentence. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been expelled, and it is reasonable for him to take office as a new official, and it is reasonable to go out and meet with everyone. At noon in the hotel, enjoyed a meal of British special dark dishes, so that Liu Yi, who came to England the next day, began to miss the big bowl of noodles in his hometown. This is all stuff, and when you get the house right, you must find a nanny who can cook Chinese food. Manchester United have officially released the news. There will be a press conference. Many media and self-media, even lunch cannot take care of eating, directly rushed to occupy the position, can grab the front row, maybe can ask 2 more questions. Let's take a look at Manchester Evening News. Or in team selection, Carrick led the team through the rest of the season. Times. Zidane had secretly arrived in Monchase 3 days ago. Daily Mirror. Zidane, who was on vacation in the Aegean Sea, saw this news and was immediately confused. Could someone pretend to be himself? The internet is so developed that anyone who pats their head can make up a few pieces of news. The domestic media is naturally no exception. Penguin Sports, CCTV5 reporters, Understand the Ball Emperor and so on. There are reporters around the world. Of course, many of them are part-time. When Kai is an international student at the University of Manchester, but also a Manchester United fan, and also happens to have a part-time Penguin Sports football reporter. His name is reversed, which is Kevin, which is also his English name. Knowing that Manchester United is going to announce a new manager, Kevin is also very excited to go for the first time, but he likes Zidane very much, and the master of metaphysics can also calm down Manchester United's group of arrogant generals. The press conference started at 3 o'clock, Kevin arrived at 1 o'clock, he had come to Old Trafford many times, watching football or working. Looking around, there are already many fans waiting, and some people are holding up Zidane's portrait. Hello, do you expect Zidane to appear later? Of course, we all like Zidane and he can bring a title to Manchester United. The United fan was very cooperative. If it wasn't for Zidane, would you have supported the new manager? Of course, I just hope that the management doesn't have any moths. Carrick and McKenna certainly can't do it. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will mess everything up, and they are inseparable. Just when Kevin was interviewing, there were reporters who rushed to grab a position, and he could grab a position in the front row when he went in. The reporters were also talking about it, but they didn't get half the news, and even the insiders were confused. Hey, guys, what's the news? We'll know later. This secrecy work is really good. Zidane, or Rodgers? I think Conte has every hope. Now the chaos of Manchester United needs such a tough manager, and he also has championship genes. Manchester United's management will not like Conte. Once Conte comes, I am afraid that the management will be scolded every day. Green, who photographed Liu Yi, was also mixed in the crowd, and when he saw an Oriental reporter in front of him, he couldn't help but move in his heart. Hey guy, you're Japanese? No, I'm a dragon countryman. Kevin politely protested. Sorry, I also think you are very different from those Japanese people. Do you think there will be a surprise at the press conference? Green simply apologized, and now the streets of England are full of dragon country people. Kevin was stunned. Surprised? You translate for me. What do you mean? Maybe at the press conference, there will be a dragon country coach. Green is naturally joking when he says this. After all, everyone knows that dragon football is really hard to say. Kevin was suddenly full of black lines. He knew more about domestic football, and players could occasionally have a half, appearing in the 5 major league arenas. The coach completely pulled the crotch. Even the domestic Long Chow could not coach, not to mention the 5 major leagues, when the assistant coach no one wanted. Time passed quickly, and the reporters' discussions became quieter and quieter, and one by one they sorted out their equipment and prepared to rush in to grab a position. At 2:50, the door of the press room opened, more than 100 reporters rushed in, and Kevin, with his youth and good card slots, managed to grab the first row. Sitting next to him was Green, the guy who had just followed Kevin and rushed in. Press officer Phil Townsend appears. Good afternoon. Next we will introduce the new manager to everyone. I hope you will cooperate a lot. I don't know why, but the reporters present all felt that this press officer spoke with a taste of panic and seemed to be afraid of something. They were followed by the head of the country, Joel Cresser, CEO Mitakuko, global ambassador Sir Bobby Charlton, and the beautiful translator Elena, followed by a man of Asian descent wearing sunglasses. Kevin was slightly stunned, suddenly thinking about something, and couldn't help but look at the Green next to him. Green was already getting a little excited. Was it really as he thought? A flash of light began and clicked, and a mysterious Asian man stood beside Joel Glazer. Santakuko took the lead in speaking, but how to see how to be weak-minded. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for being on time at our press conference, and now I am honored to introduce the club's new head coach, Mr. Liu Yi from Longwa, who will lead the team from one victory to another in the next game of the season. Before the voice fell, the scene directly exploded, and the reporters could not care about politeness at all, and directly began to call and send messages. Such news, even if it is a second slower, is a sin. Manchester United fans watching the live broadcast were dumbfounded. What about Zidane, who said yes? What about Conte? No more Rodgers. Carrick is also better than this inexplicable dragon man. What does the dragon country have to do with football? What fuck? Who the is this? Episode 6. It's April Fool's Day, right? Kevin listened to the English in his ear, a look of embarrassment. He himself could not believe it, really a head coach of the Dragon Kingdom. Look at the age is only about 30 years old, where on the stone, jumped out of such a grandson monkey, ah? The Glazer family is crazy. Manchester United is finished, and it has fallen to this point, surely for the commercial development of Dragon Country. Just when Kevin's face hurt, Green's voice came from his ear again. Dude, is this guy famous in your Dragon Kingdom? Kevin shrugged and made a helpless expression. I'm sorry, but I also met him for the first time and haven't heard of him before. Suddenly Green was stunned. He also thought that he did not know enough about the mysterious ancient country in the east, but he did not expect that even the people of the Dragon Kingdom themselves did not understand. A series of words that began with F came out of his mouth. Liu Yi on the stage had a calm face, although he said that he could not understand what these guys said, but from the expression on his face, he knew that it was not a good word. Wait for Grandpa to start coaching the game and blind your dog's eyes. While complaining in my heart, I looked at the people below, and suddenly saw an Asian in the front row, and nodded to the other side. God, from today onwards, Manchester United fans will be laughed at by all the other fans. It's terrible. What was said on the stage, the people below almost did not pay attention, were frantically taking pictures, and then sending out the news. Club legend, one of the Holy Three, and a global ambassador, Sir Charlton lifted a shirt without a stamp with Liu Yi. There was no expression on his face, just a word in Liu Yi's ear. I wish you all the best. Thank you. For the old man, Liu Yi maintains enough respect. I don't know what's going on, but I hope you take the initiative to leave Manchester United. We don't need a rookie manager here. After saying that, the old man did not even say hello to the others, and directly turned away, leaving the reporters with the news of the discord between the top level of the club. Liu Yi didn't care, let alone the Jazz who loved the club deeply. If this person was not him, even he as a fan could not stand it. I will win one victory after another to win respect. Liu Yi watched the old man leave, and said silently in his heart. Finally, in the final part of the press conference, interviewing the new rookie head coach, a group of reporters have long been gearing up, ready to teach this guy a lesson. The head coach of the Giants is not so easy to play. Dragon countryman, do you know what football is? Liu Yi looked at the other party's sign, a reporter from the Liverpool Echo newspaper, presumably a Liverpool fan. Next time you visit Liverpool, you'll know the answer. Elena translated completely, and as part of the Manchester United club, she naturally had no good feelings for Liverpool. Do you think you can win a game? This is the reporter of Sky Sports, who has always been a lord who is not afraid of big things, afraid of not being able to provoke things. I'll win all the games. Liu Yi supported the sunglasses, and there was still no expression on his face. How many games do you think you'll be going to get out of class later? The reporters of the Daily Telegraph are not willing to show weakness and engage in things, bullying Liu Yi as a newcomer and a Longwa person. The head of state will send me a contract extension soon. I have to say that this guy is really confident. Liu Yi said these words, not to mention the reporters, even Shower-Greasy and Sandesi did not believe it. Elena felt even more that she was translating for a madman. Maybe it was the feeling that it was not okay to let these people do things, and the next few reporters were all local to Manchester. What is your football style? Finally, someone asked about football. Liu Yi was also relieved. A strong pretense is not a thing. I'm a fan of offensive football, but I also want to go for a defense line of steel. The reporters below have begun to roll their eyes, and you have not said this. Why do you think the head of state chose you as the head coach? This should be the head of the wise and the wise. Elena had to spit out what she translated, and even Glazer had a black line, and the fans were afraid that they were going to kill themselves. Which position are you going to strengthen the team? I'm happy with every position in the team. The strongest guy is already in the squad. This sentence is decent, but Kevin below rolled his eyes. I am afraid that only Dragon Country fans understand this stem. Seeing that he kept raising his hand, this time Liu Yi did not give the press officer a chance, and directly chose to give Kevin a chance to speak. He attended many press conferences, never got the chance, and was a little confused for a while. What about you? Do you have a starting list in mind? Kevin quickly made up a question, and when he asked it, he regretted it. What a broken problem. This guy's microphone is the penguin logo. Liu Yi knows that he is his own person, want to carry it, did not expect this guy is not useful. Liu Yi complained and complained, but the question still had to be answered. I haven't met the players yet, but we have a lot of games and we need a lot of players, and I will choose the players to come on according to the training status of the players. Thank you. Kevin was relieved and smiled sheepishly. The last to appear was the Manchester Evening News, a pro-Manchester United media outlet who was clearly not in a good mood. Do you have anything to say to the global Manchester United supporters? Liu Yi straightened his waist, looked at the reporters below, and spat out the famous words of Julius Caesar. I come, I see, I conquering. I come, I see, I conquer. Now there is no need to translate, the reporters directly start to publish the news, do not have to make up, send out this guy's remarks, the effect will be very good. Countless news has appeared on the internet, and one post after another has appeared on forums and web pages large and small. A large number of scoldings and curses poured towards Liu Yi. Would he care? He would not. Episode 7. Manchester United's players, knowing that the club has changed one, or a rookie manager from the football desert Dragon Country, who has no coaching experience, and the players also have their own ideas. Many players have doubts about the future of the team. The squad committee, headed by captain Harry Maguire and number 1 star Cristiano Ronaldo, also spoke to the club's top brass expressing their concerns and lack of understanding of the appointment. Edward Ward, aka Santa Cuco, expressed his understanding of them, but the protests were ineffective. This was arranged by the chief. Carrington training base, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has left office, and now in charge of the day-to-day training is Carrick and Farrand. Maguire gathered the crowd and then told the rest of his teammates the news. At this moment, I don't know how many people have scolded in their hearts. Damn the vampire Glazer family. There are many people who even regret coming to Manchester United. After all, they make money, but also want to win the championship, improve their ability and value, so as to earn more money and honor. The players who were originally training seriously were a bit out of the blue, and they frequently made mistakes in training. Seeing this, Manchester United's number one star, Cristiano Ronaldo, also known as Cristiano Ronaldo, stepped forward. We are all professional players, work is to play football, no matter how the coach arranges, we have to try to do our job. As for what will happen in the future, let God guide us. Everybody cheer up. Bruno Fernandes, also known as Buffet, clapped his hands hard to encourage everyone. Maguire, as the captain, also opened his mouth to encourage everyone, but how much effect it had, it is not known. When the team finally started to operate, the daily training was still maintained. There are definitely players among them who have already started to consider having their agents contact other clubs and run their own transfers. Bailey, who had previously submitted a transfer application, was proud at this time, and his face was smiling. Thanks to my quick hands, I am afraid that I will be planted in the big pit of Manchester United. Liu Yi, who left the press room, did not go to Carrington to meet with the players according to the meaning of Sandesi, but went back to the hotel to rest on the pretext that the jet lag had not yet been reversed. Back at the hotel, Liu Yi opened the notebook for the first time, but found that the icon of the Football Manager 2021 Super Invincible cracked version on the desktop had disappeared. In a panic, did I accidentally delete it? This can be the end of the calf. Rummaging through the entire notebook, he did not find the game, just when he was anxious like a hot pot ant, did not know how to be good, suddenly found the palm of his right hand, do not know when, there was a gold and silver football tattoo. What is it? Liu Yi touched the palm of his hand, there was no trace of tattoo, and he could also be sure that he had not been tattooed. After thinking about it, he pressed the palm of his right hand on the notebook. After a few seconds, the game's icon reappeared on the notebook, just like the previous touch. This plugin is really thoughtful, appeared on their own, to avoid the loss of the notebook, or a problem that cannot be used for another book, like. Will enter the game and choose your own character. Looking at the proficiency of only Chinese, this is definitely not okay, at least a few languages to choose. Please select the desired language. Liu Yi touched his chin, English is definitely needed, there are many words spoken in the French team, Spanish and Portuguese also need to be learned. Select these 4 languages, Liu Yi clicked OK. Learning 4 languages requires 40 prestige points, whether to learn or not. Reputation value, Liu Yi clicked on the specific look, is his positive influence in the society, now a total of more than 1,000, are from family and friends. Use it, as long as the game is played, the reputation value of this thing is a lot, certainly not less. Clicking yes, Liu Yi felt the back of his head, as if someone had taken a hammer and knocked it 4 times. Feeling that the brain is a little groggy, immediately get up and climb into bed to go to bed, as for other things, wait until you wake up. When I woke up, I looked at the time and it was already the next morning. There were dozens of missed calls on the phone, most of them from Santa Cuco, and 2 by Elena. Directly returned a phone call from Santa Cuco, a standard London accent, which shocked Santa Cuco. This boy speaks English so well, why do you have to translate? The 2 sides communicated a bit, an hour later Carrington base met, tomorrow is the game against Tottenham, the new manager has not seen the players, cannot make jokes. There was no training schedule in the morning, and after doing some simple warm-ups, everyone was called up. Ward is coming with his new manager right now, and everyone is in high spirits. Carrick gave everyone a breath in advance, so as not to make some news later. At 10 o'clock in the morning, in the training ground of Carrington Training Base, Liu Yi, dressed in a black Zhongshan suit, wearing black sunglasses and with a serious face, met the stars of Manchester United, and now his players. After a brief introduction, Sandesi looked at Liu Yi, welcome Liu, tell you 2 words. Snap. The applause was loud and revealing a smell of coping with errands. But Liu Yi didn't care, of course he knew he couldn't convince the public now. Pushing his own sunglasses, Liu Yi took 2 steps forward and stood in front of everyone, his eyes looking at everyone through the sunglasses. Some people are nervous, some are disdainful, some are serious, and some people are hanging on to Lang Dang and disagreeing. Good morning, everyone. No one responded, a little cold feeling, looking back at these guys, Liu Yi spat in his heart and continued to speak. These days, everybody, including you, has a question in mind, who is this guy? Why did you become Manchester United's manager? From the soccer desert, do you understand the ball? Liu Yi said while pointing to himself. But I hope you let go of that concern, whether you like it or not. For the rest of the season, you'll all play under me, follow me to win after win, touch the trophy. You heard it right, I came to regain the glory of Manchester United, for the championship, and if anyone doesn't agree with me, then my office door is always open for you to submit your transfer application. Now keep training. Liu Yi clapped his hands and signaled that after he had finished speaking, everyone should do what they should do. Episode 8. Liu Yi stood on the training ground with a cold face, looking at the training stars through the sunglasses, and everyone's performance fell into his eyes. As the #1 superstar in the team and one of the two prouds of world football, Liu Yi was not tired in training, and all the work was completed conscientiously. I have to say that it makes sense that he can maintain the top level for nearly 2 decades. Other players, also under the attention of his cold-faced manager, began to train hard. After all, no one can figure out what this guy is coming from. Just compared to the laughter of the past, it is now particularly serious, only Ferran and Carrick on the sidelines, shouting from time to time. Before the morning training ended, Liu Yi and Carrick said hello and went to their offices. At the end of the training, when Ronaldo was about to leave, he was stopped by Carrick. "Cristiano, Liu asked you to go to his office." "Call me?" Liu Yi wondered in his heart, is this new rookie manager ready to use his own knife to establish prestige? A few minutes later, Ronaldo pushed open the door to the head coach's office. Liu Yi removed his sunglasses and had a slight smile on his face, a completely different image from the cold-faced coach on the training ground. "Coach, you are looking for me." "Cristiano, sit down and let's talk slowly." Liu Yi pointed to the sofa next to him, speaking pure Portuguese, which made Ronaldo, a Portuguese person, feel ashamed. When he traveled from Madeira to Lisbon, he was once ridiculed by children because of his accent problem. "Coach, you speak Portuguese so well." "SOSO, not worth mentioning compared to my level of football." Liu Yi triumphantly said, modest. Liu Yi mentally rolled his eyes silently and did not continue to speak. "Cristiano, I came to you mainly to tell you that your dream of 7 golden autumns will be realized by me to help you. Don't give up your pursuit because of your age, let alone have me now. Coach, please rest assured, as long as I stand on the court, I will give it my all." Liu Yi waved his hand and signaled Liu Yi to continue listening to himself. "I hope you support me in the locker room and on social media, and of course I will use one victory after another to get your approval and the players." "I will." Liu Yi nodded and agreed, he is not a thorn in the head, and now with age, it is much calmer. Moreover, his dream of 7 golden balls, probably the whole world has ceased to believe it. The man in front of him, who was younger than him, could even support him, which made him feel a little touched in his heart. Maybe this guy will bring some surprises. Liu Yi suddenly thought in his heart, but then he smiled, which was almost impossible. "For your current situation, we need some special training, this traditional secret book from the Dragon Kingdom, I hope you can practice twice a day after training." Liu Yi said, and took out a few pieces of paper. It was the 5-bird play that he had just downloaded from the internet, and it didn't hurt to practice this thing anyway. The main thing is that he wants to modify Liu Yi's data, and he can't help but let Liu Yi know it. There must be a suitable reason. This guy will be grateful to himself and fight for his life. Liu Yi was inexplicable, took it over to see, a few not too simple actions, he has a professional training team, decided to take it back to discuss. "Thank you." Seeing him leave, Liu Yi naturally wouldn't worry about him not practicing, and the system had already arranged everything. Solve the problem of the #1 big guy, the next most important thing is the back. Manchester United several backs old, slow, either the confrontation is not good, or the sense of position is not good. Anyway, it is not the top, the middle and lower reaches of the team are mixed, it is still okay, but Manchester United is a giant after all. There are no good goods on the market now, or internal mining, cheap modification. Pick up the phone in the office and dial Fred's number. "Hi Fred, if you have time, come to my office." Fred, who had just eaten and was ready to rest, suddenly received the call of the new head coach, and his heart could not help but be afraid. He himself knows that he is indispensable at Manchester United, but not a good choice. The performance is often a mess. Is the coach going to take the knife himself? With a nervous mood, Brazilian little black Fred appeared in front of Liu Yi, and his face was full of nervousness. "Relax, Fred, this time I called you here to make some adjustments to your training." Yes, this guy is diligent and sincere, not noisy, very desperate on the field. Liu Yi likes such a player, decided to give him a chance. "This is our Dragon Kingdom, which has been passed down for thousands of years. To strengthen the confrontation, I hope that after you finish training every day, you will practice for half an hour." Liu Yi took out a piece of paper again, and the content on it was also very simple, that is, Zamabo. This kind of training is also available abroad, Fred understood when he looked at it. I will work hard, coach. Liu Yi stood up and patted him on the shoulder, posing as a big guy. I'm bullish on you, don't let me down. For Fred, naturally there is no need to think like Ronaldo, after all, the status of the two is completely different. The day after tomorrow is the game against Tottenham. Manchester United squad itself is not weak, promotion of Ronaldo and Fred has been enough to kill Tottenham. Tottenham's recent record has also been very crotch-wrenching, with manager Nuno Santo coming in second place on the manager's drop-off list, first before Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and now Liu Yi. This upcoming game is also called the Classless Derby by outsiders. Episode 9. After the afternoon training, Luo handed over the 5 birds he got to his training team to see if there would be any problems. Samantha Clayton, responsible for Cristiano Ronaldo's speed and agility, is naturally professional in this regard. Quickly read this information, and then gave Luo an answer. This exercise method from the ancient dragon country has a history of nearly 2,000 years, but I probably know something, and it seems that no athletes use it. Nearly 2,000 years of history. Hearing this number, Luo was suddenly in awe, and his country was founded less than 1,000 years ago. Is there any harm to the body? That's not going to happen, it's mainly for physical fitness. Samantha gave her opinion. That being the case, try it out first, in case it works. After dinner, Luo began to study the 5 bird plays, according to the above movements, posing one by one. Through the initial difficult period, the body has a strong sense of comfort. It is indeed a mysterious oriental secret book. Fred doesn't have that many ideas, and since the coach values me so much, I won't let him down. After eating, squat at home. His wife, Salem, was a little curious to see her husband's movements, and couldn't help but ask. Honey, what are you doing? Our new coach gave me the training method, saying that it would improve my ability to fight. What kind of person is the new coach? Salem was also a little curious about the coach, who appeared with a face full of doubts and even insults. Fred thought about it, wearing sunglasses and a cold face of the coach, the two sides did not communicate much. How to say it, a guy with a little bit of fun. The same goes for other players, who will inevitably be asked when they go home, each giving a different answer. Mystery. Young. I don't know. Different evaluations also represent their different senses for Liu Yi. Near the Carrington base, a 2-story villa was prepared by the club for Liu Yi, and he moved directly from the hotel at night. Such a big house, living alone is really lonely and empty. If you can have a few young sisters to accompany, it will be much more pleasant. The long night is long, it is better to study the plug-in, get up and log into the game. The first thing that enters the front is the player and management, for his current evaluation. Luo, I feel that the new coach respects himself and is willing to work hard with the new coach. Beefy, not much feeling, but willing to give everything on the field. Pogba, desperate for United's future, hopefully a transfer. Lingered, there are some doubts, but if the new coach is willing to give himself a chance, then willing to give everything. Casually click on the attributes of Ronaldo. The potential of 196, the current 192, has been very strong but still not enough. The first data of the detailed data is a bit confusing. Ronaldo's pass is only 13, the cross is only 14, which is completely unreasonable. Continue to look down, free kick 13, Ronaldo's free kick decline is indeed very serious, but now that he encounters himself, naturally there is no way. Shots, headers, long-range shots are all 19s, which is good, in line with his current level. There are only 14 of the 3 items of concentration, vision, and composure, which is undoubtedly not enough, and there are only 10 work input and teamwork. In terms of body data, explosive power 13, balance 13, speed 16, flexibility 13, endurance 15. For a 37-year-old veteran, these are also normal. However, Liu Yi is naturally not satisfied. He needs Luo to charge for himself, and bring a superstar who has gone downhill to a new peak. Is there anything more rewarding than this? If you must choose, the only thing Liu Yi can choose is to bring the Longwa national team to the World Cup Championship, which is too difficult to challenge, and he does not dare to challenge it with plugins. The modifier is open, cannot increase too much at one time. To slowly improve it, Luo will pay more attention to himself. The free kick adds 2 points to 15, which is also a good stat. The concentration increases by 2 points to reach 16, and after 15 is a leap. Teamwork and work engagement, each increased by 5 points, both reaching 15 points. In terms of physical data, only 1 point of flexibility has been increased, from 13 to 14, which is a small change that should be felt by Luo tomorrow. After choosing whether to use the reputation value to modify the attribute, 10 reputation points within 15, 15 more than 100 reputation points. 240 points of prestige, to Luo made a small improvement, or very good. The remaining 960 prestige points still look rich for the time being, but if you want to improve to the ability above 15, it is not enough. Gritting his teeth, keep looking at Fred. Compared with Cristiano Ronaldo, the potential and current ability are only 143, which is not the ability of the Giants at all. The player's loyalty increased by 5 today, reaching 16 points. This system prompt makes Liu Yi very satisfied, and it seems worth spending some prestige points to help him revise it. The specific data is also unbearable. As a giant back, there are only 14 passes and steals, 14 defensive positions, 13 concentrations, and only 11 visions, which is too tragic. The body data is even more impossible to see. Balanced, strong only 13, it is simply fatal, no wonder it is knocked down by the opponent. Zamabu has just begun, let's add a little bit of data. Steals +1, up to 15. The defensive position is +1, which also reaches 15. Body balance +1, up to 14. Use 30 reputation points to give Fred a small boost. Regardless of these 3 abilities, directly increase Fred's total ability from 143 to 145. Looking at the screen in front of him, Liu Yi thought fiercely, who gives Lao Tzu no hard work, directly modifier to abolish you. Ronaldo and Fred, who were sleeping, seemed to feel a little change in their bodies and turned over on the bed. Episode 10. The day before the match, Manchester United's players gathered at Carrington in the morning to begin their final practice before the game. In the afternoon, we will take a bus together to North London to set up camp and fight with Tottenham Hotspur tomorrow. Before the training began, Liu Yi called everyone together. Standing behind him, McKenna and Carrick, their faces gloomy and uncertain, did not know what the new manager was going to do. Phelan was indifferent. He was an old man who was about to retire, and there was still the old lord behind him, mainly because he did not do things. Liu Yi didn't care what the gang thought, just looked at the team members in front of him. Today we rehearse the 433 formation. Hearing this, McKenna behind him couldn't help but stand up and deny Liu Yi's idea. Liu, I think we should focus on defensive stability, and we can play 5 guards. Shut up. Liu Ito will not be. When he was still a fan, he was quite suspicious of this guy's level and could not look at it. Now after the system confirms, it is even more certain of their own ideas, looking for an opportunity to let this guy get out. There must be no such thoughts, and whoever thinks of them will get out of the way. Don't try to get a minute in my hands. Liu Yi ignored McKenna's flushed, ugly face, almost roaring. We are Manchester United, winning and indomitable genes, deep in our bones. Don't shout about any DNA, now some of you don't deserve such a name, so in the next game, prove it to me. Tottenham, what kind of team is this? Even if we beat them, we can't be proud of it. We have to beat Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester City, these strong teams, and then go to the Champions League, and there will be Bayern, Real Madrid, and these are the things that Manchester United should do. In the face of Tottenham Hotspur, if we back down and get a draw or a win with the whole game, then what's the point of me coming here? What is the point of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's departure? Speaking of this, Liu Yi paused slightly and took a breath. Guys, listen to what the media outside about the dog mothers, and the doubts and attacks of countless fans. I want to use one victory after another to smoke these grandchildren, so that they will never be able to raise their heads in front of Lao Tzu. So we not only have to attack, but we have to win a big game, at least 5 goals to keep those grandchildren shut up. Look at Liu Yi, who is full of spirit, passion, and burning with anger. Led by Ronaldo, Buffet, Fred, Luke Shaw, and other people have a burst of blood boiling, and even young players such as Rashford and Greenwood have also been encouraged. Start training now. Liu Yi waved a big hand and gave orders, which also allowed these players to see the other side of the head coach. A passionate, competitive, brave manager. In addition to some doubts about his coaching level, it has basically been determined that this guy is very appetizing to everyone. During the training, Luo suddenly felt that he was a little more flexible and his attention was more focused than before. The other players' feelings are more obvious, and Cristiano Ronaldo's constant search for cooperation has surprised them. In particular, after scoring a free kick, Luo couldn't help but look at the head coach standing on the sidelines, and he could clearly feel that his control of footwork seemed to have improved a little. And the only change in his time is that he started last night and practiced the five birds play for more than half an hour. Another surprise was Fred, who could clearly feel that his confrontation had improved a little, and even his defensive awareness was much better. The other players' feelings are also obvious. Fred has significantly improved his rate in place, and his judgment of the passing route is better than before. Is it only one night? There is such an effect. If you know this, you would have gone to squat a long time ago. Consecutive steals have boosted Fred's confidence and gratitude to his coach. When Liu Yi was trying to adjust the team's 433 offensive formation, the media and fans around the world were also speculating about what kind of lineup Manchester United, the rookie manager, would use for the first game. There is no doubt that Liu will hoard all the players at the back to make sure Tottenham doesn't score. I guess Tottenham will score 5 goals. The Dragon people don't know football at all. When Tottenham Hotspur manager Nuno was interviewed, he was even more full of joy, as if he had won the jackpot. There's no doubt that this is a great opportunity for Tottenham Hotspur, which has been tougher lately, and we will rally strongly. We will be playing a feast of goals for the fans at home, hoping to exchange for their good mood. The bookmaker is not even willing to offer Liu Yi the odds of being out of class, which in their opinion is a 100% off class. A survey by the Sun newspaper #Can Liu Yi persist until Christmas #. Of the more than 200,000 people who voted, 98% chose not to, and 2% of the votes came from the Dragon Kingdom. In another survey about how many games Liu Yi could win before class, 80% of the fans chose 0. All of this reveals distrust of Liu Yi and pessimism about Manchester United this season. In the evening, Liu Yi led the team members to check in at the hotel in North London after a few hours of driving. Kevin was standing at the door of the hotel, trying to do a brief interview with Liu Yi, but the security guard wouldn't let him in. He could only shout in his throat, "Liu, do we want to defend?" In the noise in front, Liu Yi was deaf, and suddenly heard a long man shouting and looked back. "Isn't that the kid you've seen at a previous press conference? Give him face." "Of course not, attack, we're going to attack like crazy."